Hi everyone, my name is Sive and welcome to Stories in Sive. Hope you are doing well and having a great day. Today's video is going to be a TBR, so we're going to be discussing all of the books that I would like to read in September. I'm not always a huge fan of TBRs, so we will see how this goes for me. I was able to read a large quantity of books for me personally in the month of August, and I feel like I could have read even more last month if I had had more of a solid direction and spent less time deciding on my next read and just keeping up the pace. So we'll see if this kind of helps me along. I'm not going to commit to these books, but I'm hoping that these selections will give me a little bit of a structure going into next month. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is Sorrowland by Rover, and I have been anticipating this release and I haven't. This is a fantasy story. The synopsis of this book starts out with a individual, a woman fleeing a religious compound in which she has been a member of for many years, and running away to go, and she lives in the woods and gives birth to twins. I actually stopped reading the synopsis right there because, one, Rover is an incredible author, and I read The Deep by them earlier this year, and I just think I will probably read all books by them for like the rest of all eternity. So one, yes, and then two, with the fantasy element and the kind of like religious compound, maybe you've got some cultish vibes in there. This is gonna be a good book for me. So I'm very, very excited to get into this one. The next book I'm going to be reading is Middle Game by Shauna Mcguire, and this book is a fantastical, little bit of sci-fi-y, but it's kind of based in a world in which there's alchemists and the concept of ascending to godhood, and people who are in control of certain elements are able to instill godhood or potential godhood in young children and potentially raise them up to become those gods, aka control the universe type stuff. I started to read this book in August and I got 30 pages into it, very interested. Super love the writing. I think it's going to be a very, very good one for me. A little bit more lyrical, a little bit more whimsical than some of the books that I have been reading in the past, and so I think that it's going to be a good one for me. Very excited about it. Also, the cover is really beautiful. I've heard great things about this book. It was really popular around 2 years ago, 2019, and pretty much raving reviews from all of the people on BookTube that I pay attention to as far as their reading tastes are similar to mine. My expectations are pretty high for this book, and I'm hoping that that's not gonna disappoint me later on, but we'll see. I definitely have high hopes for this. Very excited about Middle Game. The next book that I hope to read in September is When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain by Nevo, and this is a fantasy novella. I read The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nevo a couple of months ago, earlier in the summer, I believe, and very much enjoyed it. They're both part of the same collection, or maybe it's a series, but it's called the Singing Hills or the Spring Hills Cycle, and I will definitely be continuing to read these. I might consequently add The Empress of Salt and Fortune to this September TBR in anticipation for reading When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, because I think they might be kind of related. But essentially, The Empress of Salt and Fortune is about a young empress who is married into the royal family, and she has political ties to her homeland, but now she serves a new alliance, and the marriage was made to bring an alliance. It's about political rivalry, and there's a touch of romance in there, and it is a beautiful short novella. The writing is very beautiful. I'll definitely be reading When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain and possibly The Empress of Salt and Fortune this upcoming month. The next book I would like to read is also a fantasy. This is kind of a fantasy heavy month for me. Is going to be Bitter Blue by Kristen Cashore. I read Graceling and Fire last year and have just taken a pause, and I really am ready to pick up this next book, Winterkeep, which is the 4th installment in the Graceling Realm series. Came out in January or February earlier this year, and I definitely really want to get to it. I very much remember having great enjoyment and just a fun time when reading Graceling and Fire last year, and I just want to re-access that feeling. I will be reading that book via audiobook, and I'm very much looking forward to it. The next book I'm going to read is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, in anticipation for a little bit of fall vibes. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely associate classics with that fall, autumn feeling. Nature, those deep colors, somehow my brain associates that with classics. So I'll be reading Pride and Prejudice for that reason, but more importantly, I am participating in the All About Austen read-along, which is hosted by Kiara Foster over on her channel, and that is a read-along of all of Jane Austen's novels in publication order, and that started last month in August and is going to continue on until the month of January, as there is six novels by her. I've read 3 of Jane Austen's already, but I read my 4th last month, which was Sense and Sensibility. I hadn't read that one before, and I just had such a great time with it, and so I became very excited for this read-along. I was already excited, but I forgot how much I enjoyed that type of writing and just the Regency kind of setting. I don't know what it is. It's very beautiful. It's very enjoyable for me to read. I read Pride and Prejudice last year for the first time, so I'm excited to pick it back up. It was one of my favorites. It wasn't my favorite, but it was, I think Northanger Abbey is my favorite. We'll see, because we're going to go through all of them, and then I will officially decide my favorite now that I will have read all 6 by January of 2022. So, very excited about Pride and Prejudice. And the last book is definitely the one I am the most excited about, save the best for last, and that book is The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. And I have been accomplishing my reread of the first and second book. I reread City of Brass in July, and then Kingdom of Copper I finished in August. So I'd read these before last year, but I got these beautiful copies and wanted to read them physically and annotate them. So I have done that. I've accomplished that. And now comes the finale, and I could not be more nervous. I am so excited. I think this is the book in my reading history that I have anticipated the most, that I've been the most excited for, the most invested in. This is the final installment of the Daevabad trilogy. This trilogy is about a young woman named Nari, and she is in the first book in Cairo. She accidentally summons a jinn named Dara, and he whisks her off to the land of Daevabad, which is a magical city hidden by a very, very long and ancient curse that affects all of the members of these different tribes that all cohabitate in Daevabad. It is a beautiful story, many twists and turns. It is very politically driven and is one of the most layered adult fantasy series and novels that I've read. I preferred Kingdom of Copper to City of Brass. I just felt that the characters grew so much more. And in between the City of Brass, the first novel, and Kingdom of Copper, the second novel, 5 years passed. So at the end of Kingdom of Copper, no spoilers, but like there's this big old thing that happens and there's a huge cliffhanger. So I'm interested to see where this book is going to pick off, if it's immediately after that or if like the last transition, if there will be a couple of years in between. I could not be more excited for this. I don't think I can picture a way that I would be disappointed by this book. Like pretty much no matter what like S.A. Chakraborty puts out, I will eat it up. So that's The Empire of Gold. So folks, there you have it. This is my September TBR. 6 books. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I want to add in anything that catches my eye. I'm a very big mood reader, so I kind of just pick stuff up as I feel like it. I also have no set order for these books, also allowing me the leeway to read what I want in the moment, whatever piques my interest. And I definitely think that I could have some potential 5 stars, if not like favorite books of all time, read in September. Not to put too much pressure on the month of September, but like 2 of my like anticipated reads of the year, Sorrowland and Empire of Gold, are in this month. So it could happen. I'm just saying, it could. And so that concludes my September TBR. If you like videos like this, wrap-ups, TBRs, vlogs, any sort of bookish content, recommendations, reviews, feel free to like and subscribe, and you will find more of that type of content here on Stories and Sive. We would love to have you. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!